The August meeting, the Hoover Board of Education will soon be called to order. If you would and choose to, would you join us in a moment of silent prayer? And obviously, I'm going to consider the tragedies we've had in multiple cities. I want to thank Lord so far that our children are safe in our schools, and thank you for the job, and want to pray for continued safe school year. Thank you. If you would, you stand and honor our country by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you call the roll, please? Establish a quorum.
Deanna Baumann. Craig Kelly.
Here.
Kermit Kendrick.
Here.
Amy Madonna.
Here.
Amy Totten. Here.
Okay. You want to take this, you want to ask for approval?
I do want to acknowledge Ms. Baumann had a conflict and couldn't be with us tonight. She offers her apology for that. Board members, you have before you the agenda. I ask your approval.
We'll have a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This passes. The agenda is approved. Dr. Butler.
Recognitions. Ms. Gaston, would you share with us?
All right. Good evening. First, we'd like to recognize, well, let me just say this. Over the summer, schools don't sit still. We know that, right? So we have people flying, driving, taking trains all over the place, still engaged in academic and extracurricular and athletic activities, and that's certainly the case for 2019. So the first one we'd like to recognize Berry Middle School. If sponsor Kathy Howard and Kellen Sell would come up with the team members. You can see one of their award photos there on the screen, and as I read about that award, I'm going to have her divide up the certificates. So Berry Middle School's engineering team, which you see here before you, and their trophies, if you guys will stand and face the audience. This is TEAMS. The acronym stands for Test of Engineering, Aptitude, Math, and Science. The competition this year was in Atlanta. The team placed first in the state, which catapulted them to the national level. The theme was Engineering a Greener World, and the students were tasked with 3 components that added to the overall score, which included digital media submission, oral presentation, and problem-solving challenge. So Berry was second in the nation overall. Let's give them.
To add to that, there were 5 categories that they need to compete in. Multimedia presentation, engineering mathematics, oral presentation, engineering programming, and then best in nation. That's all the category scores added together. This year they placed first nationally in engineering mathematics, which consists of calculus, trigonometry, algebra, geometry, programming, and I can't do the math that they did on this test. In order to take first place, they scored 18 out of 25 correct answers out of 31 teams. And then they took all their scores from all these other competitions and added them together, which placed them second nationally out of the 31 teams. So we were very proud of them. Okay. We have with us here today, I have Morgan Pritchett. Congratulations. Kashik Dirvath. Congratulations. Evan Hauser. And Fiona, let's see where are you? Fiona Selly and Kaylee Detloff and Riley Ashford could not be here tonight because they had other things. And Anna Fagan, unfortunately, has moved to New Jersey, and we've lost her. She was a 7th grader last year. I have to say that Morgan is a 6th grader. And Kaushik is a 7th grader, and then Evan and Fiona are 8th graders. And so our team consists of all grade levels. It's not just 8th graders. So they did a really good job, and I'm very proud of them. They spent most of the month of June working towards going to this competition. So they gave up half their summer, and I'm very proud of them.
I believe we have a number of their parents here tonight. Okay, Dr. Robbins is going to take a group photo. Wonderful. If you all will head to the lobby, we have a new photo backdrop you may have noticed, so parents, feel free to snap away out in the lobby.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Ms.
And
Madonna.
I could say a quick word about Ms. Howard, Ms. Selly. This
Sure.
is the second year in a row that they've gotten second in the nation.
Yes.
Very
And
true.
they put in, I know personally, my kids did it, but they do a great job. Thank you.
Very good point. Second year in a
Second year in a
row
row, second.
to place nationally. Very big job. Next up, we have Officer Chris Bryant, School Resource Officer at Hoover High School. He was recognized also at the national level through NASRO, which many of you know is headquartered here in the Birmingham, Hoover area. He was awarded the Regional Exceptional Service Award, and I'll just read a couple of very quick sentences from some submission packets. Officer Bryant has fostered significant relationships with many members of the faculty and staff at Hoover High School over the past 13 years. He has an exceptional grasp of the whole picture of school safety. He constantly provides needed knowledge, a common sense approach, and valued input as to how we as a team can provide up-to-date enhancements to protecting everyone daily at Hoover High School. Congratulations, Officer Bryant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next, from the elementary level, Miss Jennifer Northrup, who is the librarian at Gwynn Elementary School, won a state award. This is from the Alabama School Library Association. She won the Anne Marie Pipkin Technology Award. And this is named for the longtime librarian, Anne Marie Pipkin, who retired from Hoover High School back around 2010, 2011. So it has double meaning for us for one of our own to take home this award. So congratulations, Ms. Northrup. Mr. Aldrich Bennett, he was not able to be with us last month for introduction after personnel actions. He's the new assistant principal at Simmons Middle School. He is here tonight along with his family in the back. So Mr. Kevin Irwin, I think, is still here in the very back. So I don't know if you wanted to say a word or two about Mr. Bennett. I know he's been immersed in Simmons culture and has already got going over there, but it seems like it's a really good fit.
Well, Dr. Murphy, school board, I was really disappointed last month when I did not get to introduce him. He was out of state serving with his church. I couldn't stand in the way of that, but we are so honored to have him at Simmons, the job that he's already done in our school. And I'd like at this time for he and his wife Josephine and daughter Elena to stand up and be seen by the board. We sure are happy to have him at Simmons.
Thank you for being here. And we did have a story written about him that's on the Simmons website that gives a little bit of insight into his biography and educational career. Lastly, here in recognitions, Dr. Murphy, I believe, was the first touch point to get this accolade from niche.com. Best school districts in Alabama. Hoover City Schools once again has placed in the top 5 in the state. We're very proud of this accolade, and we've had some discussions about what appear to be some very rigorous algorithms with niche. So it's not just a vote, how many stars from random Joe Blow in the streets. There's some science behind it. So we're very proud of that accolade. It's been floated on our websites and social media streams. So something for the whole school district to be proud of. Dr. Murphy, school board, that's all I have tonight.
If I could add to that, we did place fourth in terms of best school districts in Alabama. We were acknowledged as the third safest school district in Alabama. Now, we once upon a time were first. We want to get to that first position again. But I also wanted to share with you the grades that we received on the niche report. We received an A+ in college preparation, an A+ in health and safety, an A+ in clubs and activities, an A in academics, an A with our teachers, and an A in terms of diversity. So I think that's worthy. I'm proud of it, and I'm happy for us to acknowledge ourselves. This is an independent ranking. The metrics are stringent, and so we're proud to be acknowledged and recognized by them. So thank you, board.
As a board members, I guess I'll speak for myself. This is something we had nothing to do with. So,
Didn't apply for
thank
it?
you.
Didn't?
I'm not putting you in this.
Oh, no. You're okay.
You deserve a thank you. Also. Thank you for what you do, the staff. I know a lot of you are here. Hopefully others are watching, but it means an awful lot to be able to serve. So thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Okay, we'll make the public comment. Is anyone here like, we have public comment time. Is anyone here like to speak to the board? Yes, ma'am. If you would, please give your name. Everybody knows.
Hi, Janet Turner with the Hoover City Schools Foundation. I just want to give you a quick update because the foundation doesn't sleep over the summer either. So we were here in June and told you about the record number of grants we were able to offer this year, which is very exciting, over $50,000 in grants. And in July, we held our summer workshop for Seed Lab applicants, and we had teams come for 2 days, go through the design thinking process, work through some challenges they were facing. And we've selected 5 teams to join our Seed Lab this year, and they'll work every month. They'll get together, and we have 2 full-day meetings and then afternoon meetings the other months. We have a team from Gwen called Strong Girls, and it's a mentoring program helping to build confidence of some girls in their school. We have a team that's a joint team, Rocky Ridge and Hoover High, called Empowering Student Voices. And they're tackling racial inequality and cultural diversity and cultural relevancy. We have a team from Bluff Park, trauma-informed teachers, and they're trying to equip their teachers and staff to be better equipped for trauma students. We have a team from Bumpus Middle called Room to Reward, and they are tackling a little bit of PBIS, helping the teachers implement that better. And then we have a brand new approach this year. We have a student-led team, and they are tackling social and digital media and digital distraction. And this team was actually brought to us. The idea was brought to us. I think it started with Dr. Murphy and went to Kelly Lane and Brian Phillips, and we decided to approach that with our student board. And so we have 5 student board members who spent 2 days with the teachers and learned more about what the issue is, and they're going to tackle that this year from a student perspective, which is a really neat addition to Seed Lab, and we're excited about that. So I will say that because 3 of these teams are really addressing district level issues, we have added the input of some district employees to work alongside with them, so that's also a new addition to Seed Lab this year. Thanks.
Thank you, Jen.
We're very appreciative of our foundation, and the Seed Lab idea has really taken a hold, and our folks are very excited. So Janet, to you and to the foundation, thank you all so much. Appreciate your leadership on that.
Would anyone else like to speak? Thank you. Dr. Murphy, you will take us through our action item.
Yes, board members, you have before you our action items, and the first request I have is a recommendation for the minutes from our regular board meeting July the 11th, and also our special call board meeting of August 1. I request your approval of those minutes.
Would have a motion to accept these 2 items as per recommended, Dr. Murphy.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is approved, Dr. Murphy.
Next item on the agenda, we have our personnel action items, and we have 15 appointments, 1 transfer, 1 request for leave of absence. We have 5 resignations, 1 termination, and 1 contingent appointment for a bus driver. My recommendation is your approval of our personnel report.
Board have a motion to approve personnel report for August.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes, thank you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I do this every time and I always tell somebody to tell me when I've messed up. So may I back up just 1 ounce and ask that those who were just employed, if we could acknowledge any of those individuals who are here, and I did specifically ask Dr. Simmons to acknowledge a new employee with us.
I'd like to recognize Candace Vanderham, and she is our new mental health specialist. She comes to us with a lot of experience with working with at-risk students and mental health issues. She has a bachelor's in psychology, a minor in social work, a master's in special education, a master's in educational administration, and a master's in school counseling. She comes to us with, in her time in education, she's been a special education teacher, a behavior specialist, an assistant principal, a school counselor, and a director of student services. So we're very glad to have you in this position and look forward to doing some great things to address mental health. And also with Hoover Rise, our mentoring program.
Welcome.
Do we have others who were on our agenda this evening? I always make that run through there and forget to do that. Mary, I always want to acknowledge you all. Your work is so important to the district, Carrie, for what your department, and if Christy's in here, but thank you all for getting these personnel reports before us, so thank you. Okay, now we'll move forward. We addressed our personnel action items, and we are on our business action items. Board members, you'll hear our report from Michelle McCadden.
Thank you, good evening. First, I'd like to start with our FY19 June financial report. So board members, please find attached the summary and general purpose financial statements for the month ended June 30, 2019. So for the FY19 budget, we start with 92.62% of budget revenue has been received for the month ended. The results of operations represent 9 months of activity. Accordingly, we would anticipate having spent approximately 75% of the budget for recurring expenditures. At this time, the general fund expenditures are only 69.58% of the budget. For the 9 months of activity, the current month's reserve is 9.37. In June, we saw a significant decrease in C&P expenditures with the kitchens closed for the summer. We made capital payments totaling $1.18 million, and we continue to see high utility costs, specifically power, related to extreme temperatures. Special revenue fund expenditures for 9 months of activity were $16.8 million, or 90.36% of the budget. The majority of these funds were expensed during the school year as we anticipated. Cash disbursements for June FY19, $3,703,896, and payroll for July 2019, $8,005,432.33.
Board members, I recommend your approval of the monthly financial statement for June, also our cash disbursements and payroll, cash disbursements for June and payroll for July.
Do I have a motion as explained by the superintendent?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Approved, Dr. Murphy.
Thank you. Next item we have, and Michelle, if you want to stay there just in case we have any other questions, but I'm recommending to the board that we approve substitute salary schedule changes for LPN, RN, CMP, and custodians. We did share this with you last month and asked you to take a review, and I'd like to ask your approval this evening.
Do you have a motion to accept the substitute as Dr. Murphy outlined?
Sorry.
Have a second?
Second.
Or any questions on this? We did, as Dr. Murphy mentioned, we've discussed this before, and the need to be not only competitive, but to fairly pay our employees. Our nurses are so important, taking care of our children on a daily basis. So we're pleased to keep our very valuable employees here. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, Mrs. Approved.
And then obsolete items, we have 3 older vehicles, lots of mileage and lots of tender loving care needed for them. We would like to declare those obsolete. We'll try to sell those on Gov Deals. 3 vehicles for obsolete. My recommendation is your approval of that, please.
Approval to place surplus items as Dr. Murphy outlined. Have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any questions? And I'll point out, as was pointed out to me, we're not required to auction this. Once we declare by board approval it's surplus, that we try to get as much income or recovery costs as possible for the district, and try to, when possible, share it with other school districts that are in need of it. So it does not go overlooked and it is not thrown away. We appreciate the staff for being so frugal with their assets. All in favor?
Just one quick
Yes, sir.
question, just out of morbid curiosity, whatever money we get, where does that money go? What bucket within our budget does it go, or does it go?
It goes back into the general fund, and we may have a need for an additional vehicle, so we may have to replace one of our vehicles that's also about to die.
Very good. Thanks.
But yes, it goes back into the general fund.
Sorry. Any other questions? All in favor?
Okay.
All opposed? This is approved, Dr. Murphy.
Board members, we have next an agreement with the city for security camera access. And as we've been sitting at the table, I've received a text that is from our city that wants more time to take a look at this. And so I would like to withdraw my recommendation for that. And I apologize because I was delinquent in getting it to them and time for them to do a thorough review. But just for your information, this is an opportunity for us to allow our Hoover Police Department to have a security view of our buildings in the event of an emergency, God forbid, an intruder, that our police could look live, real time, down any hall where we have cameras on any campus. And so I certainly see the merit and the value of this. The city did want to be able to take a more thorough read, and I own that I didn't give them enough time to do that. So if I may, please, I'd like to hold that. There's nothing of imminent danger here, so I'll ask that I be able to hold that one until next month. And lastly, we have the addition to a request for an addition to the 2019-20 athletic supplement schedule. There was one supplement that was missing, and so I ask your approval for that supplement at Hoover High School athletics. And so my recommendation is your approval.
Do you have a motion to make an exception to add an athletic supplement as recommended by the superintendent? Do you have a motion? Have a second?
Second.
Any questions?
I will say that we're working very hard to make sure that we are identifying all of our supplements, athletic and otherwise, and that we're being thoughtful to get all those before you and not to piecemeal this back and forth to you. So we're working hard to identify all that so we don't do this to us again.
Very good. You good? Somebody?
Got a vote?
We didn't vote? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? This passes. Sorry.
To new business, board members, I just asked 3 of my staff members to give you a quick update as we've started school. I think it would be helpful to you just to hear a little enrollment and how we're up or down in various schools, and Bob Lowery's going to do that for us, followed by Jeremy Bradford, who's going to talk to us a bit about transportation and any challenges we may have and how we're doing with that. And then I've asked Melinda Bonner to do the same for CMP to give us an update. So if y'all would just run behind each other.
Thank you for your time. I wanted to go ahead and share our current enrollment. Before I do so, I want to go ahead and define the 3 categories that we're going to be looking at. There is a bar on our chart that you're going to see that was our previous enrollment for the 2019 school year. So you know where we were at this school last year. And that's based off the 20 days after Labor Day report. Obviously, we're not there, so that number could be a little higher in some areas. And the second bar that we're going to look at is our current enrollment. Those are students that have participated in school for at least 1 day. I know being the truancy officer, it's a little hard to believe that we already have kids missing school, but we were able to sift through those to see where they were. So these are students that have been in school for at least 1 day, and the data is based off of 8/12/19, so that was yesterday. The third column you're gonna see is the 2020 target. This is based off of some information from the GIS mapping program, student matriculation, students rolling from one grade to the next, and some historical data as far as how schools have performed with enrollment in the past. So if we look at our high schools, the blue bar is the previous enrollment. That's what our enrollment was last year. So at Hoover High School, it was 2,859. You can see currently we are at 2,834, and our target was 2,787. So you can see that we're above target, which is a really good thing. And you're going to see that theme repeating. Again, remember, when we look at the blue bar, we're looking at the 20 days after Labor Day, okay? If you look at the other chart, that's Spain Park High School. I'm not gonna belabor the numbers on all of them, but I wanted you to be able to see what that looked like for our high schools. So we're in really good shape. When we look at our middle schools, we are in really good shape as far as our targets go. We're really looking good at Bumpus. I think one of the questions that may come up when we look at Bumpus and Simmons was how did the desegregation transfers impact that? That overall was a net of about 10 students. So we had some transferring both ways, but when we were all done, we had 10 extra students at Bumpus, so it was not a very high number. When we look at the elementary schools for the Spain Park feeder pattern, you can see again, we are in pretty decent shape. Rocky Ridge has had a little bit of a surge. We're about 41 students high. I think we're going to be able to see that that may be connected to, over time, to the next school when I show you what our elementary schools that feed into Hoover High School look like. We have a little bit of a dip in Green Valley's population. Green Valley, Gwen, and Rocky Ridge have a tendency to share families quite a bit. And so we're going to research that further as the dust settles. So as you look at those numbers, you can see that we're pretty much on target and a little bit above. To summarize that, I have it for you here. As far as our target goes, the last bullet shows that we're up by 35 students, and we're still climbing. It's a difference of 22 based on our enrollment of Labor Day. I can promise you this, as much as the sun is going to come up tomorrow, we are going to continue to grow. So we will get much higher than what that 20 day after Labor Day report said. So we're above our projections by 35. One thing I do want to note, as we went through enrollment this year, we're seeing that there is still a constant surge of families coming upon the schools those last week and a half to try to register, and they're still registering now. Next year, when we do enrollment, we're going to be surveying those families, find out why they're doing so late, and how we can best service them so our numbers are not climbing now, they're pretty stable, is the goal for next year. Any questions?
Excuse me, Dr. Lauer. RC3, where did that move things around?
RC3's numbers are calculated into Spain Park High School and into Hoover High School, so they're in their base
So
schools.
they're calculated in their home schools.
Yes, sir.
And it may not be a question for you, but I guess it's been some relief, especially at Hoover High School, which had the large capacity to relieve to those classrooms. And that might not be for you to speak on, but hopefully by RC3 being in existence, it's relieved a little bit of pressure on the rooms.
Could we get Mr. Montgomery to address that for just a moment?
Yeah, I can address that. In fact, I talked to Dr. Murphy about it the other day. RC3 has really helped us at Hoover High School. The majority of our kids that go to RC3 go in the mornings, and that's when we're at capacity, is in the morning time. And so we're sending something like over 350 kids over there every morning. And so it's made passing in our halls better. It's really been good for us. We have a little over 100 and something going in the afternoons, but afternoons the building's not quite as full because at that time, kids are going to athletics, the band, those type of things. So I can say Dr. Dodson has done good.
And thank you, Mr. Montgomery. And some of us were out there on the opening day in the morning, and it was amazing. The excitement of the children. I think I got there, I didn't pay attention to the schedule, I got there way too early, but the students started accumulating in the parking lot, sitting talking. Dr. Murphy and I were actually up on the upper level, and the buses got in and unloaded the children before we got back down there to see how the buses were going. So, and these are coming from two different high schools, so the coordination was outstanding. The noise, which was good noise inside as they figured out where they were going, So we're extremely pleased with where we are with RC3.
I'm gonna offer, and not call names, one brief testimonial that, was called in to me this morning. I was talking to one of our community leaders, and the person said, you know, Dr. Murphy, I just have to tell you what a transformation for my child RC3 has already made. I have a child that hasn't been all about school, hasn't been gung-ho about sitting in those classrooms, and shared with me what a difference it was making in the life of that child. So that's why we do what we do, and you know, I was somewhere between dropping a tear and just having good chills about the fact that we're meeting some needs of students, and was happy to get that testimonial this morning. So we're proud of RC3.
Absolutely.
I have two bits of information here. The first bit of information will be the information that we had when we left school, the last day of school in May. At that point in time, we had 108 regular education routes. 72 of those routes were single, 36 were double. We had 26 special education routes. We were performing 6 Hoover Hall shuttle routes and 2 Craft Academy routes downtown. We were able to do that with 142 total routes in our department, with 134 drivers and 28 special needs aides. When we started in August, we now have 112 regular education routes, 74 of which are single, 38 are double. We have 26 special education routes. We are running 9 RC3 shuttle routes from Spain Park and Hoover High School, and we have 2 Craft Academy routes going downtown. Our numbers have risen a little bit to 149 total routes. We're able to do that with 138 drivers and 27 aides. We typically transport around 80% of the students who register for a bus rider. We transported an average of 6,144 students last year on any given day, which is around 77%. This year, based on our current numbers, we're projecting to transport around 6,902 students at the beginning of this year. That's based on the 80% formula that we use, since we currently have 8,628 students registered for transportation, which is an increase of about 758 students since May. We currently have 664 new students registered in EduLog as of this morning, since the last day of school in May. So our August monthly bus driver reports will be in at the end of the month, so we'll be able to see exactly what the number is. We're able to do that based on the great work that our route supervisor does. We're able to put, sometimes moving a stop can make a big difference, especially when you're talking about time. So that's where we're at today. That number changes nightly. Do y'all have any questions?
Great job. I made a comment earlier that we don't get a whole lot of emails, but a lot of times the emails we get, you forgot my child. And we found out last year there were a lot of parents that just, like all of us, get busy and didn't say or fill out the form to ride. I don't think I got a single email this time, and so thank you for the staff and what you do.
Well, I thank the staff, and also thank Mr. Gass and Dr. Simmons and Dr. Lowry also. They were very proactive in helping us this summer to make sure that we got the word out to the parents, so that helped a lot. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. Do not have any slides, but I'll just give you some data over the summer, from the summer and current. Hoover City Schools operates the child nutrition program under the National School Lunch and Breakfast Program. That allows us to offer the benefits of free or reduced price meals. And we do that during the school year. Well, those 25 to 27% of our students are hungry during the summer as well. So last year we implemented our summer feeding program. And at one location, we served 8,692 lunches. This school year, through donations again toward our Meals in Motion bus, we were able to add a generator to the bus and a milk cooler. And we were able to go to 4 different locations, and we served 14,399 meals during the summer. Also during that time, we were able to provide 2 meal drives, food drives. Hoover Helps coordinated that with us. July the 16th, we did a food drive at the park at Hoover Apartments, and 50 boxes of non-perishable food items were distributed, and they actually ran out. People were still coming needing the food. And then on the last day of the summer feeding program, on July 26th at the Hoover Public Library, 45 boxes of food was donated to families. So there was a need there. So for a student that's enrolled, for them to continue on their free and reduced eligibility, every school year they need to reapply. If they are not in the import from the state of Alabama and directly certified, they need to do an application. If you were approved for free or reduced price meals last year, you have a 30-day school day grace period. So that application will expire on September 20th. So to reach out to our families, last year we implemented a packet, and this is what the packet looks like this year. And it's promoting breakfast and saying, hey, breakfast is the best meal that you can start your day with, and you can get it free. And then included is the application for the free or reduced price meals and instructions on how to apply. We want to encourage our families, if they can, to go online, because the approval is turned around in 24 hours. It may take longer if you do a paper application and then you have to turn it in, and by the time it gets to us. So currently we have 3,814 students approved right now for free or reduced price meals. So we're up to 27%. But like I said, sometimes people don't get their application in, and they may expire, and then by the time they realize it, we may have missed them, and we don't want that to happen. So I just need everyone to encourage those that need this benefit to reach out. We also can provide a free or reduced price meal application in any language. I sent one to Greystone today in Vietnamese. So any language that you need, we can get that for you. Any questions?
We obviously want to make sure, again, those students that need free and reduced lunch are served. But it also impacts title funding. And so first and primarily that of serving our children meals, but our title money is impacted by receiving those forms back from our families. So I want to say from this table an encouragement to our families to get those forms in. So thank you, Melinda. Last thing I wanted to share with you, board members, is we have some of the usual angst of starting school with traffic. I just want to ask our community again to be patient. As we know on Stadium Trace, there's still some construction that's going on, and encourage folks to bring patience with them there. We do have a great deal of congestion that's going on at Simmons and Gwen, as that traffic is all trying to come out right there at the same place, and others trying to come down the Mountain Bluff Park. So all of that is under review. We do find usually at the beginning of the academic year that is very difficult, and it usually sort of smooths itself out with a few days of time. I do want our community to know that we're being very thoughtful about traffic, congestion. Where do we need police officers to help us keep the traffic moving? So know that that's always under review, and that we're always thoughtful about our community. And them being able to drop their children off and get to work on time is also important to them. So just wanted to share that with you also. That concludes our reports.
Thank you. You want to go through the board? Does anyone have anything to say? Or go through our next board meetings and work sessions?
Yes.
Sorry.
So board members, just a reminder that we will have a work session on Wednesday, August the 28th at 4 o'clock. We've also agreed to have another work session on Thursday, September the 5th at 5 o'clock, followed by our first budget hearing at 6. We'll have our second required budget hearing on September the 10th at 4, and our regular board meeting on Tuesday, September the 10th at 5:30. So we get to spend lots of time together over the next few weeks. Look forward to it. Thank you.
September 10th at 6:30 or 4?
September the 10th at 4 for the budget hearing and 5:30 for the regular board meeting. I may have messed that up.
No, that's what I had you do. I make too many mistakes. Thank you for everyone being here. Again, we pray that our children enjoy a safe and good school year, and we thank you to the staff and for the public for being here. We're adjourned.
I told my kids, I was like,
Yeah, turn it was Kim.